transforming the Black family systems, which is interesting because I said through healing, education, and community power. So I guess we're all talking about the same thing because there was a lot of themed healing we have to heal that I heard here today already. All right, reclaiming our roots to restore the future. So as you listen to me over the next, say, 10 minutes, I want to invite you to reflect on this question. So as I continue to talk, just keep reflecting on this one question. How do we, all of us as a collective, reclaim our roots? Because we've heard a lot in this room about we're immigrants. We have a story of how things used to be. There is a root to us. And we came here. That root just doesn't get thrown away. But the question is, what actually is that root? So how can we restore it to have a flourishing future for families? All right, so this Black History Month, I think we are living in a defining moment for Black families. We've heard a lot of stories in this room today. And in truth, I don't actually think it's about Black families alone. I think it's for any family that is shaped by the history of colonization. And I can't even say the word, colonization and patriarchy. Now, according to Statistics Canada, Alberta currently ranks third for family violence in all provinces. Yes, Alberta is number 3. According to the Calgary Police Services, in the first quarter of 2025, their rates of family violence increased 10% compared to 2024. We don't have data for this year yet. But the trajectory of things last year showed that family violence as a whole was going up. Okay, so this data is for the whole population, you could argue. Like, what has it got to do with us? All right, this is what it has to do with us. We know that there are dedicated domestic violence shelters in Calgary, in Hedrie, for people of African origin. These shelters were started a few years ago, and they are full. They're full with a wait list of people of African origin who need a domestic violence shelter. So whilst the data I just quoted, Alberta is number 3, there's an increase in family violence, is for the whole population. Might I suggest that we have a problem then if domestic violence shelters that are dedicated to us are full? So this February, this Black History Month, perhaps it's time for us to have a cultural reflection. Maybe it's not just for us to reflect. Maybe it's time for us to actually take responsibility, historical responsibility. We can't make this February be another season of conversation. We will gather, we will talk. Can we have it be a time where all of us hopefully decide that we are going to do something to transform the Black family systems, the things that's not working for us? Can we please not make it be a time of awareness? The whole month is dedicated to us, right? So yes, Black History Month, let's celebrate Black people, and I celebrate us. But can we please make it a time of action as well? Enough of awareness alone, it is time for action. In each family, we've got to act. Because really, what we are facing today, if we're going to be honest, since it's Black history, what we're facing as a traditional Black family dynamics, what you will see that is called the traditional Black family dynamics, that is hurting our present and could damage our future, i.e. ours as well as our children. The reality is, if we're being honest and looking through the history, it actually did not belong. It didn't start today. So I'm going to take us on a journey of just going back to go forward. Dr. Yembila told us that Ghanaian adage, or perhaps someone else did. Where you have to go backwards? Thank you. It was adage, okay. You have to look backwards to look forward. And that just ties in with what I'm about to share. So if we reflect together, before colonialization, I can't say that word, colonization.
There you go.
I must not like that word. Before enslavement, before the displacement of our people, the African family system was actually rooted in community. It was rooted in balance. It was rooted in shared responsibilities. Families were actually a collective. Leadership was communal. Identity was grounded in belonging. Now listen, gender role did exist. Well, you know what? They were shaped by complementarity. The women will go hunt for the things they can reach, the veggies. Who remembers that? The wedues and the efforts. So the women hunted for those, or gathered rather those. And the men hunted, yes. But it was complementarity, not domination. Authority in our cultural root was actually through real responsibility, not control. Power was relational, not hierarchical. But then came the rupture. Colonialism did not just take our land, if we're being honest. It restructured what our identity looked like. Slavery did not exploit bodies. It re-engineered our family systems. Empires did not just conquer nations. They colonialized. I don't like that word. They colonized our meaning. And with colonialism came the introduction of what I am going to term, and I think scientists term it, the European hierarchy and patriarchy. And that fractured our African partnership structures. Hierarchy replaced our harmony, control replaced care, fear replaced trust, survival replaced what was safety for us. Just think about it. Our men were stripped of dignity and they were taught that masculinity meant that they weren't meant to be domineering and they had to be the dominant force. But the women, we were forced into strength. And we had no protection, no authority. Spirituality and religion went from something that was supposed to bring liberation to us, something that was used to regulate us and control our minds. Headship was distorted from responsibility into control. Leadership was reduced from service of others into power over others. So what emerged? What emerged is now what they call the black culture. But it wasn't the black culture, it was adaptation. It wasn't our tradition, it was our trauma architecture. It was not our heritage, it was our survival design. We had to survive. So over many generations, what was adaptation? What was trauma architecture? It just became normalized. Like it's now a normal culture. But pause and listen to this. While this society that brought us patriarchy and hierarchy and power over others began to reform their own society, their own systems, they decided actually patriarchy, maybe it's not such a great thing. Well, those reforms were not brought back to the colonized and the enslaved world. Think about it this way. So I was born in Nigeria, so I can only cite examples from my home country. So while Nigeria, my home country, in 1960, we had parties, because guess what happened in 1960? Thank you. We have Nigerians in the room. Independence happened in 1960. Do we know what was happening in the West you. In the Western society, in the same 1960s, that was the beginning of the sexual and gender revolution. Yes, ma'am, I'm a scientist, I have to do the research. So in the 1960s, if you imagine that we are celebrating that, yay, we are free from the colonizers. I don't know if that's a word. We're celebrating our freedom. The Western world, we're deciding that, okay, maybe gender roles, the rigid ones, is not so good after all, in the same 1960s. So then they began to do the work to narrow the gender gap in the Western societies, whilst we were beginning to put plasters on our wounds. So, the very system that imposed hierarchy and patriarchy on us decided that it wasn't good anymore. Yet we were left to continue to bear the weight of those same structures. So patriarchy was not originated in Africa. Patriarchy that we so hold dear to, speak to any traditional African man. They will hold on to patriarchy as if life depended on it. But it wasn't our idea, it was brought to us. And those who brought it to us then decided that it wasn't a good idea after all. So what we got was independence without reform, freedom without healing, nationhood without transformation. So we inherited systems that has been judged harmful elsewhere. And the legacy, we've seen it too often in our nonprofit, the legacy goes on. The legacy still shapes families today, shapes our relationship, it shapes our communities. But the truth is, on the other side of this, because I like to be fair, many of our leaders who have seen that, rigid gender roles, rigid traditional norms is not great, hold tight to it. Huh? Many decide that because it works for them, they're going to do nothing about it. So we continue to let trauma be described as our tradition. We continue to let coping structures, coping mechanisms that we develop be described as our culture. We had to survive, and we had to be strong. But no one taught us vulnerability. Now someone's saying you need to be vulnerable. You're like, so what was that? Mm-hmm. So lack of vulnerability became our identity. So patriarchy that was given to us is now defined as the black culture. Control, leadership, silence, strength, hierarchy, we're keeping the order. Spiritual authority, listen, it becomes the thing used to control you and get you to do nothing. Power dynamics now becomes something that's embedded into intimacy, marriage, parenting, community life. If you have a little power, you're going to use it over. So really, we're dealing with colonial residue, trauma systems, inherited survival structure. Which is why at the Family Advocates, you will find us quite passionate in carrying our mandates, because this has got to stop. We have to interrupt cycles. We've got to dismantle trauma systems. We have to decolonize these distorted narratives. We have to heal these inherited patterns in order for us to restore healthy relational frameworks. We have to build family systems on the foundation of dignity, equity, and emotional safety. Because transformation that this is going to take, it's not going to happen through awareness alone. Honestly, I'm tired of that one. Every nonprofit event we go to is like, we have to raise more awareness. No, we need to start doing the work of transformation. And that is going to happen through structure, through education, through mentorship, through coaching, through community engagement, and through all of us deciding to interrupt the system that does not work for our families. So, I know I'm quite heavy on this one. This family, Black History Month, this is what we're calling you to join. For us to collectively understand that patriarchy is not a Black issue. So together we need to start reframing the Black family dynamics. We need to change it so that headship becomes responsibility, not dominance. Masculinity comes with emotional safety, not control. Leadership is service, not power over. Family becomes a place of partnership, not hierarchy. Spirituality becomes liberation, not regulation. And no, we're not trying to erase the culture, because I have far too many men, oh, you women, no, we are not trying to erase our culture. We're asking for cultural restoration. We're not trying to reject our tradition. We're reclaiming our truth. No, we're not trying to dismantle the Black family system, because we're also being accused of that. We're trying to build healed foundations. Because the future we are building, I've got 3 beautiful children. The future we are building has got to look different to what I see right now. But we cannot do it alone. We need all of you. We need all of you for this to become a reality. We need families where children learn safety in the home before they learn how to be strong. Our children know how to be strong, but they don't know how to be safe. We need homes where love is not about endurance. It's about security. Communities where leadership is accountable, that's another thing we've got to work on. Relationships where power is shared. Churches, mosques, places of worship where our spirituality and faith actually heals, not silence. Marriages where partnership replaces hierarchy. Generations where trauma generations where trauma is not inherited but healed. This is the work. This is our work. This is the mission. This is the mandate. Enough of preserving survival structures. We have to build healing systems. We are not the guardian of trauma history. So this Black History Month, let's ask ourselves, what history are we protecting? We are not the guardians of trauma history. We should commit to being architects of generational restoration. Because you know what? The future of the Black families is actually now going to be based on what you endured. Enough of it. We endured enough already. Our future should not continue to be about what we endured, but it should be about what we chose. My hand first, what we chose to heal. Mm-hmm. Enough of the story of what we endured. Can we start telling the stories of what we chose to heal? Amen. So this is how we reclaim our roots, by choosing what we heal. This is how we restore our future. Thank you for enduring that.
Thank you.